Hey everyone, it's Ian Cancel here from Dental Marketing Heroes. I'm glad you could make it. And welcome to our fourth webinar of 2024. Today, we're going to be talking about the dental marketing metrics that matter most. And as a dental marketer who's been helping dentists and orthodontists grow their practices, I know how important this topic is to your success. And I'm thrilled to be sharing it with you today. Again, my name is Ian Cantle, and I'm the founder and chief strategist at Dental Marketing Heroes. We're a dental marketing agency whose mission is to help you, dentists, thrive so that your teams and your families can thrive, so you can have a greater impact in your community and the causes you care most about. Because as your practice grows in profitability, your impact has the potential to grow as well. And this is our higher purpose at Dental Marketing Heroes, beyond just doing great marketing for our clients. Let's talk about first why you should care about data and metrics in your dental practice. There's four big reasons, and these are the big four. First of all, marketing is not overhead. It's an investment that has the potential to turn $100 into $1,000 into $100,000 for your practice. You must know what your ROI, your return on investment, is. The data will show you what's working, what's not, and where to invest more or less resources. The second the second big reason is accountability. It holds your team or your marketing agency accountable. How else will you know if the people you've hired and the strategies that you're employing are producing the results that you want and need? Number three, faster growth. You have growth goals for your practice. If you didn't, you wouldn't be on this webinar. You wouldn't be here today. You'll learn how data will help you reach your goals faster and better. And number four, increased valuation. Whether it's part of your current plan or not, having a proven marketing system in your dental practice increases the valuation of your practice. It makes your business more desirable to those who wish to buy it, and thus provides a bigger and bigger payout because they want a turnkey proven system of growth that's not directly tied to you, the practitioner. So those are four big reasons why you should care about what we're covering today. Now, here's the agenda. We're going to first of all talk about marketing success starts with a plan. We're not going to go too deep into that, but it's an important starting point. We're then going to talk about why marketing measurement matters and how it works for your practice. And then we're going to be looking at marketing metrics to track and report on. And we're going to go pretty deep here. These are things like practice metrics that you're probably already aware of, organic SEO, search engine optimization metrics, paid ads metrics, website metrics, social media metrics, email marketing metrics. And then we're going to talk about how all of this fits together to give you an executive dashboard. And then we're going to share how we can support you in this. So let's dive in, and let's start by looking at success starts with a plan. Benjamin Franklin said, if you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. And nobody wants to plan to fail. But if we don't take the time and energy and investment to create a plan, then we're setting ourselves up for just that. Another quote by Yogi Berra: if you don't know where you are going, you'll end up somewhere else, someplace else. And this last one, I really love this quote by Dale Carnegie: the man who starts out going nowhere generally gets there. So this should reinforce with you the value of planning and having a marketing plan. Your marketing must start with strategy first. And it's in your strategy where you define the marketing metrics that matter most, that we'll be covering today. Then your marketing tactics and strategies feed back into your marketing plan to help make that plan even better. And it's this marketing system in your practice that will be the rocket engine that drives you to the goals that you wish to achieve in your practice. And just as a rocket has a myriad of systems and ground control to monitor its progress, to avoid issues, to ensure the goal is achieved safely, your marketing system is the engine. It's the fuel that's going to get you to your goals. So let's dig a little deeper into how measuring your marketing will help you as a practice owner. I love this quote by Galileo: measure what is measurable and make measurable what is not. So that's just reinforcing how important measurement is. And then the great Peter Drucker talked about, if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. And this is such an important concept. In order to constantly improve and evolve your marketing, you have to be able to measure it. You have to measure the right things so that you can improve them. And that's a really important concept. The next concept is you are here. Your practice exists in space and time, in a marketplace, and you have to know where you are. You need a benchmark. And as I mentioned already, you need to know what your practice goals are. You probably have them. They need to be documented and they need to be directly attributable to your marketing plan. Because, as we spoke about, profitability, increased market valuation is really important. The longevity and thriving nature and health of your practice depends on this. Collections, production, overhead, these are all important metrics that you're already tracking today. Average production of new patients, the average production of existing patients, the value of a new patient, how many new patients, case acceptance ratio. So when somebody comes in, are they rolling over and accepting the treatment plans that you give them? Reactivations of stagnant patients, retention. What is your retention rate? And then, of course, your marketing activities. All these things feed up into the profitability of your practice. Another way to understand how metrics work at a very high level is a funnel. We're all familiar with funnels. Funnels help us get large fluids into small holes like our windshield washer fluid. We're also very familiar with this from a sales standpoint, where you talk about top of the funnel, mid funnel, and bottom of the funnel activities. And this is important from a marketing standpoint because at the top of your funnel, you have all these various marketing activities that you can do as a practice to attract and retain patients. And at the bottom of the funnel, you have your practice goals and your big metrics. These big metrics are the ones you want all of your marketing activities to ultimately lead to. Then you have all of the leading marketing metrics that will tell you if your marketing activities are actually working, providing a great return on investment and directly impacting your big metrics. And this includes top of the funnel metrics like views and impressions, video views. Then you have action metrics such as ad clicks, click-through rates, cost per click, cost per action, and other ones like that. Then you have that then leads to page visits, secondary calls to actions like downloading a guide or a checklist, which ultimately leads to key calls to actions like form completions, new patient form completions, phone calls, and appointments set. And finally, all of this will help you determine the marketing ROI, your return on marketing investment in your practice. And this diagram is helpful just to understand the flow of metrics that we as practices should be. And the last high level concept I want to talk about is, before we move into specific metrics, is that every practice should understand and implement the marketing measurement life cycle. It starts with a marketing plan that's been guided by data and research. Then you need to determine what your marketing success metrics are. And these are the most important metrics to your dental practice, like profitability, production, collections, overhead, number of new patients, average production per new patient, average production per patient, case acceptance ratio, and the lifetime value of a new patient. So then you need to make sure you're tracking the marketing activity, measuring, getting insights, and then finally, you need to be tweaking, adapting, and optimizing your marketing measurements and your marketing strategies, and using this data to make more and more informed business decisions for your practice. As you can imagine, when you start to do a lot of different marketing activities, and maybe you're there already, and each activity has a host of marketing metrics, the data can become very overwhelming. In fact, this is a very common problem in businesses, especially the larger the business you're in, the larger the practice you have, because it's got a coined term called big data. And this is a real problem for retailers, big businesses that have thousands of SKUs, thousands of ways customers might be coming to them. But it's equally true for a dental practice. The key here is knowing which metrics to track so that you don't get paralyzed by the sheer volume of data. And with this in mind, it's important to know which marketing metrics matter most to you as the practice owner or manager, so you can keep your finger on the pulse of your marketing. So the first one, you may be surprised at to see that a marketer is talking about your revenue as the first metric we track. And this is rarely directly attributed to marketing efforts unless you've integrated your marketing agency as an extension of your team and you're giving feedback mechanisms to your agency so that they know what your monthly revenues are, so that they can track their activities against that and actually attribute their activities to that revenue. But I think we'd both agree that revenue is the most important metric that you look at as a business owner, not necessarily as a practitioner, but as a business owner of your practice. Is your practice profitable? Is its revenue increasing over time? And is revenue outpacing expenses? All super important metrics. Number of new patients. The next metric that is a leading metric into revenue is new patient numbers. Is your practice growing in new patients over time? It's also important to look at this month over month, year over year, as that actually takes away some of the seasonal impacts that many practices experience around Christmas time or lower periods during the year. We all have those. The next metric you need to be looking at is your marketing return on investment. As I mentioned earlier, marketing is an investment. It's not an expense or overhead. It's basically your sales team. So it's vital that you track your marketing return on investment as a whole, and also for particular strategies that you're testing and trying out. The easiest way to calculate your marketing ROI is to take your revenue, add the lifetime value of your new patients, and for many practices, that ranges between $7,000 to $15,000, sometimes even more. Divide the cost of your marketing investment, and this will provide your return on investment. The reason we include lifetime value of new patients is that when you land a new patient, they are far more valuable to your practice than the initial production revenue you will receive from them. By retaining them, by caring for their needs over the long term, by continuously marketing to them to help their retention, their value is much, much bigger and vital to your practice and should be attributed in the measurement of your marketing. The value of a new patient. Sorry, cost per lead. I skipped ahead. Now, as we drill deeper into marketing strategies, we should be measuring the cost per lead. To calculate this, you would simply take the cost of your marketing investment, divide it by the number of form completions, phone calls, and other calls to action that you have that draw people in. And this will help you understand what the real cost of bringing in a new patient lead is really costing and how investing in more in these areas will grow your practice. I talked about the value of a new patient, so I won't talk more about that, but that's really important. You need to understand the value of a new patient and the lifetime value, not the initial treatment value, but the lifetime value of a new patient. What's it worth to you to attract a new patient and retain that patient? Because patient retention is much easier and low cost than attracting new patients. Patient acquisition cost. This is self-evident, but this is the cost that it takes in order to attract those new patients. And it's similar to leads, but slightly different because you're actually looking at the value of the patient and what goes into that. Phone calls. If you're not tracking phone calls against the marketing activities you're doing, you do not have the insights you need in order to make informed decisions. Super important. Form completions, appointments booked online. Again, this is a high value call to action because these are the things that are actually getting people into your treatment chairs. Now, We talked about the higher metrics. Let's look at SEO. And the reason why SEO comes next is because search engine optimization will always be significantly better return on investment than any type of paid advertising or other types of marketing activities you do. SEO, when done right, will actually grow over time. And the more you invest in it, the bigger and bigger it gets. It's like planting a tree. It takes time, but the fruit comes from watering it, giving it the sunlight it needs, and tending and grafting in new branches when required. Organic SEO keyword ranking. This is something you should be looking at. You should be knowing, are we growing our organic keywords over time? So a lot of practices may be looking at all the keywords they're getting. This is important. Is your overall keyword portfolio growing over time? The second part is the value of those keywords as far as ranking position. So you can see in here, we have different colors. Gold means we're in the top 3 positions. Then the next one up means we're in the top 4 to 10 positions, and so on. But this is a funnel, and you want to make sure that you're constantly growing this over time and that it's not diminishing. The other part of this is you want to make sure that you understand the value of the keywords themselves. A lot of SEO companies out there use kind of this unscrupulous way of sharing data, meaning they share, hey, you're showing up in the top 3 positions or ranking number 1 for 30 keywords, which sounds really good. But unfortunately, if those 30 keywords are not the most sought after keywords, meaning the volume is high of people searching for those key terms, then it's not going to significantly help your practice. So you need to be very aware of that. Organic website users and sessions. Is this growing over time? Are you attracting more and more people to your website? The leading metric to this is your ranking on Google. And then this is the trailing metric of, are we actually receiving more people on our website? And your website is the only property digitally that you as a business own. You don't own your Instagram account, your TikTok account, your Facebook account. You do not own those. And people get disqualified from those all the time. And so we like to caution dentists and just say, make sure that your website is the hub of all your marketing. Don't invest too heavily in platforms that you don't have control of. And make sure those platforms are pointing to your website. Organic website sessions. So we looked at overall website sessions, and now we look at organic. Pages per session. Pages per session is the number of pages that people are looking at on an average visit. Is this growing significantly over time, or is it diminishing? It tells you whether the content on your website is valuable to people. Session duration. Are people staying on your website longer or shorter when they come organically? And you can look at this in multiple ways. Bounce rate. Do people come to the website and bounce immediately off? Sometimes this isn't a huge detractor metric, because if people are just looking for your phone number and calling, Google would perceive that as a bounce, but that's actually a really great visitor, right? So you need to take some metrics with a grain of salt. And then conversions, finally. Conversions are what actually leads to new patients. And so you need to be able to track those organic website conversions. And alternatively, when you're looking at paid ads, you have some similar types of metrics, but you also have cost per conversion, because this is very easy to track because you're actually paying for ads and you have conversion tracking within Google Ads or some of the other ad platforms. Your click-through rate, is this growing or diminishing? If you set it and forget it, as some businesses, especially if they're managing their own ad platforms, if you set it and forget it, your click-through rate will always diminish over time. Your cost per clicks will always go up, and your ROI will always go down. So you need to make sure that you're tracking this and paying attention to it. And whether you're doing this or not, these are just important metrics to be aware of that your marketing agency should be reporting on. Cost per click. How much is it costing your practice to acquire a click, which is sending somebody to your website? What is the cost of that? And then cost per action. This is the actual cost of what a conversion is going to be costing you as a practice. You want to know if your clicks are going up and down. You want to know if your impressions are going up and down. And these are all leading metrics. You also want to know what your quality score is. Not every ad platform has this, but Google Ads does. And we always recommend that dental practices, their first platform you should be investing on from an ad standpoint, a paid ad standpoint, is Google Ads, because these are qualified prospective patients for you. People are searching certain terms that pre-qualify them as looking for a dentist. Whereas a lot of the other ad platforms are disruptive ads, meaning you're aware of these, you're on TikTok or you're on Instagram or Facebook, an ad pops up. It's disruptive, it's interrupting, but it's not significantly targeted to an action that you're taking at that immediate time. So they work. Those ad platforms can be very successful as well, but we always start with Google Ads because of the qualifications. And then finally, landing page experience. This is a key thing that Google looks at. If you get all of these metrics improving over time, it will actually cost you less per click and less per lead and conversion, because Google will reward you if the landing page experience is good as well. Next, let's look at your website. You have a website. You're a dental practice. You have to have a website. If you don't have a website, you're missing out on tons and tons of opportunities. And I get it that some dentists are sunsetting, but even if you're considering sunsetting, retiring, you're going to probably want to sell your practice. And in order to get the highest valuation, the most money back from all of the years that you've invested in your practice, you just need to invest some money in some smart marketing, because they will pay you more for your practice if your website is working, if it's attracting people, and if you have other marketing strategies that are really plug and play for them so that they can step in. And even if you as a practitioner leave in 1 to 5 years, the machine is still going to be working even without you. So website metrics, conversions. Are people converting when they come to your website? We already talked about pages visited, duration, bounce rate. These are all really important. We talked about those in the context of organic search and paid, but even just understanding, is my website performing well? Those are really important metrics. Social media marketing. This is probably the most distracting marketing strategy there is. A lot of dentists believe, and their teams believe, that, hey, because when I post, I get 7, 20, 30, whatever it is, interactions with people, that when a dental practice does that, they're going to get similar interactions on posts. And that's simply not true. You're always at a disadvantage as a business on social media versus personal. And that's because the algorithms are designed that way. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of those platforms want to charge you as a dental practice to show up in people's feeds. So just know that. That's just a tip. But let's look at some of the social media marketing metrics. The first is, how large is your audience compared to your competitors? And you can see in this example that this dentist has significantly more audience size overall. But this dentist has a larger Facebook audience, but they don't have an audience in any other platforms. And so this is important, because the larger the audience you have and the faster it's growing, the more chances that your posts will show up. And that engagement will be up. The next social media metric you should be looking at, your audience size versus your competitors. Now you want to know, how are we competing from an activity standpoint? And you can see this just shows activity, the number of posts in that period of time for this report, and how it's growing over time. And then finally, you want to be looking at engagement. This by far is one of the most important metrics in social media, because if you have a large audience, if you're posting regularly, you're out activitying your competition, but your engagement is low, it doesn't help you. You need to be connecting with people. Don't miss out on the social aspect of social media. That is so vital for a dental practice to understand. It's all about connecting with your audience, your followers, your community. And you should have someone, regardless of whether you've enlisted the help of a marketing agency, you should have someone within your practice who has as part of their role to make sure that they are connecting with people when they reach out to you. So they're responding to direct or instant messaging, and they're also commenting on people's comments themselves. Just really important. And following other influencers in your particular marketplace. So those are the social media metrics. Email marketing metrics. First of all, if you're a dental practice and you're not using email marketing, you should. Even if you hate email yourself, do not let your own personal bias keep you from using one of the highest performing marketing strategies that exists within your marketing portfolio. Email marketing works. And the reason it works, especially for dental practices, is that you are a trusted practitioner, advisor, someone they look up to and respect, and you are providing an ongoing service. And the thing with email marketing is you need to make sure you're providing value in every single email you provide. But do not discount email marketing just because of your own bias. We all hate our inboxes. That's okay. We like getting emails from people that we value. So the first metric you should be looking at is deliverability. Are my emails actually getting to the people in my list? This is really important because there's no point in looking at any other metrics if your emails are not even being delivered. The next one is bounce rate. Are my emails bouncing? There's soft bounces, there's hard bounces. You don't even need to care what those are. But this is an important metric because this will tell you if certain platforms, email platforms, are actually blocking your emails. And this is really important. Open rate. So assuming somebody gets your email through the deliverability, are they opening it? That's really important. That's your first gate that you have to get through. And then, of course, if you have links within your emails, you need to be showing up and knowing whether people are clicking on them. And this is really important. So again, we talked about how you are at a certain place today. You have practice goals. All of these goals that you have for your practice have leading metrics, following metrics that are vital that you need to be aware of. We talked about a funnel. We talked about how your marketing has all of these activities at the top and that those activities lead to your ultimate goals. And that you need to be tracking the ROI, the return on investment of those activities. We talked about the marketing measurement life cycle and how important that is because that's the only way. If you're not tracking, you're not able to improve what you're doing. So that's vital as well. And then we talked about strategy first in your marketing and making sure that your strategy is guiding and influencing all of your marketing decisions. We covered a lot today, and hopefully you have come away with a better idea of how marketing works, the things you should be tracking in order to understand if they are working for you or what you can track in order to improve things. Quite frankly, many dentists don't have the expertise in-house on their own teams to be able to build this and track it. And that's where we come in as your dental marketing heroes. We're here to help and serve you. One of the ways that we uniquely do this from a metrics and reporting standpoint is we provide a monthly marketing insights report, which is actually a video that walks you through here's what was done, here's the result, and here's our recommendations. And this is super helpful because it's like an executive report for the dentists and office managers so that you know how we're integrating with your team, what your return on investment is and was, and what things you can do to actually get even higher return on investment. Just a few things about Dental Marketing Heroes. We're a National Excellence Award-winning agency. We've also been named a top SEO agency, top web design agency. We're an SEO for Growth certified consultant, and we're a duct tape marketing master certified consultant, which means it's a proven plug and play marketing system that we bring into dental practices. I'm also a weekly podcaster on the Marketing Guides for Small Business podcast, where I share insights with some other fellow marketers. And I also wrote a book with some other marketers on content marketing for local search, how to create content that Google loves and prospects devour. So all of that just to say, we are here to serve you, and we are extremely good at what we do. And we see a minimum of usually a 5 times return on investment when we employ the systematic approach to marketing that we provide. I also wanted to provide a free resource to you that you may have seen if you're on our website. But if you haven't been and you haven't downloaded this, please scan the QR code. This is the 7 Steps to Dental Marketing Success ebook. It's chock full of valuable information that I know when you implement it, it will significantly help your dental practice. And then lastly, I wanted to say thank you for joining us today and for taking time out of your busy schedule to educate yourself and your team on this important topic. I also wanted to invite you to our next webinar in this series that will be about unlocking the power of Google Ads, boosting your dental practice and attracting more patients. And this is going to be on the first Friday in May, which is May the 3rd, and it's at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I hope to see you there. And in the meantime, keep calm and market on, folks. Bye for now.